Hello and welcome to another edition of For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. My guest today is Frances Trelease. She is president of a brand new company called Boomer Den. It is her first time on the show, so welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Sean.
People are probably heard the word boomer before and wonder what Boomer Den is. But first, what is a boomer?
Boomer is really, it refers to an age group of people who are at that point in their lives, midlife and a little bit beyond.
So people have heard of baby boomers, they've heard of Generation X. It really is basically a certain decade or whatever that they were born, correct?
It spans a few decades.
Oh, okay.
Baby boomers traditionally refer to post-World War II babies, but I think we're also, Boomer Den also takes into account people who are Generation X, people who are mid-40s
Gotcha.
and up.
So Boomer Den, tell us about it.
Boomer Den is a new business that is in launch phase, and it's very exciting. What it seeks to do is take people in this age bracket and get them back to work through structured internships that really help them explore new fields or encore careers.
Someone explained to me it's kind of like the way that a college student would sort of dabble and see if they're interested in a career by interning, right?
It's very similar. Much of this takes that same model and it moves it towards a different demographic. It does a lot of what the younger internships do, but it suits the needs of people who are at a different stage in their life.
What are problems that boomers are running into? Is it that, with the economy the way it is, perhaps they get let go from their job, and then they're at a kind of a crossroads, I would imagine, about what to do next, right?
That's one of many, that's absolutely true, and that's one of many scenarios. There are people who have been downsized after having worked in their field for 20 years or more, people who are partially employed, underemployed. There are people who are degreed and qualified who for one reason or another have been out of the job market. Maybe a woman's been raising her kids and now they're off on their own and she wants to now explore and get back into the job market. So there are really a variety of reasons that people would want to seize this kind of opportunity.
If a company like this is needed, that must mean that the market itself is not exactly where that you would describe as ideal.
It is not ideal. I think most people would agree with that.
Haven't we come out of the recession now? Does that mean that there are more jobs that are supposed to be coming about?
That's an interesting question, and that depends on who you talk to. Some people say we've come out. I happen to know that Connecticut is one of the states that's been lagging behind in the recovery. The other thing that we see is that a lot of jobs have returned, but they're different types of jobs. They're more service-related, they're lower paying, and in a lot of cases people cannot get back in at the same level or the same type of work that they were in before they left the job market.
So then what is the first thing they do? I guess they would have to decide in what direction they want to go. Do they want to stay in their current career, try to get back into it, maybe kind of explore something else? What is the first thing they do?
Well, that's a very good question because it starts with that. It starts with sort of looking into your inward and saying, what do I want to do next? And Boomer Den is an opportunity for people to say, let me try something new. Let me explore a new field. I've done something for 25 years, but there's another field I've always wanted to look into. Now that I'm not busy full-time with my prior career, this could be a good opportunity to explore.
I guess they kind of have the opportunity, and they don't have a choice if they're out of work, but if they wanted to kind of dabble and explore in the possibility of a new career, unlike a college student that could be an intern and maybe still live at home, right. A person that's a boomer needs to somehow generate income and still, pay their bills and everything.
True, and so what the boomer needs to look at is their own financial situation. In a lot of cases, they can collect unemployment while they're doing the internship. There are people who have left their prior employment with enough of a cushion that they have some time at their disposal to go out and explore. People can also work part-time while they're doing this internship. So people can arrive at this from a lot of different ways.
So how do they, if they want to dabble, if they want to kind of explore, obviously you have somehow set up or created the opportunity for them to go and see other places? Yes,
what Boomer Den does is it gives people sort of a chance to try out new fields, and they're structured as 3-month internships where they can go into a business and the business gains their talent and their expertise and they sort of try each other out. And for the intern, is this a field that I want to stay in, that I want to learn more about? And for the business, it's a chance to really evaluate that person and everything that they bring to the table.
Yeah, and you know, and what I do, TV, and also I do a radio show too. We have a lot of interns, and this is the young intern, but the same philosophy applies where if an intern is working out, that could potentially turn into a job. So it may not just be the boomer kind of deciding whether or not they even like it. It could actually even turn into a job for them, right?
Absolutely so. And that, of course, is one of the hopes, that they're sort of testing out each other. And the employer may say, I really like what this person brings to the table, and at the conclusion of the internship, I'd like to make them an offer. So that's the best case scenario
And
for us.
the intern has already been trained. They know the company. They know the lay of the land, so to speak. The
Exactly.
employer feels comfortable with them.
Yes.
There's sort of already been a vetting process, right?
Absolutely.
It's all there in place. It's just a matter of whether the two can come to terms, I guess, right?
That's right. And the employer sort of custom trained them to the way that they do business. And it really takes a lot of the risk out of it for the business owner, because unfortunately sometimes companies are reluctant to hire in the first place. And sometimes they realize that they've made a mistake, but they've gone through the hiring, they've gone through the orientation. This is an opportunity to say, okay, I'm not locked into anything. This is a low-risk, safe way to see what qualities they're bringing, and for them to check us out and see if there's a fit.
And if it doesn't work out, no harm, no foul. Everybody can go their separate ways, and the boomer can potentially try something else out, right?
Absolutely, that's the beauty of it. It's there's no marriage here.
Right.
It's a temporary situation.
So how does it work for you? Are you sort of the middleman, so to speak, set up the potential for a person to meet with an employer and
Yes.
an intern kind of a ship process?
Yes, what Boomer Den does is it sort of brings the parties together and does a lot of the legwork. So instead of a boomer saying, okay, I'd like to intern somewhere, where do I start? We have, we're building up our database of interested businesses, and likewise for the business saying, I'd really love to bring on an intern. We do a vetting process where we can research and do background checks and find out what they have to offer, and we bring those parties together, supervise, monitor, make sure that the internship is running well.
You know, the college kid, this has always been the way it is. But maybe, is it because of recent events in history and the way the economy has turned out that something like this for the boomers has been necessary? How did you come about and say, you know what, this is needed?
Good question. For a couple different reasons. One of which is that I've been a college lecturer for quite a while now, and a lot of my students are adults who return to college at night. And just in talking to them, so many of them are back to school because they're saying, I want something else. This is my time. I want to explore something else. I've got talents. I've got skills. Now where do I take them?
Right.
So a lot of it has come from my conversations with them, and some of it is just looking around. I mean, I think that this demographic brings enormous skills and work ethic, and they've got a track record. They've been out there, they've lived, they have negotiation skills, they know, they're motivated.
You know, a college intern may not even necessarily have developed all of the people skills in life that he needs to start out. I mean, it's kind of on-the-job training and more than just the actual job itself, right?
Well, yeah, it's funny. I think both groups bring their own
Set of challenges?
Sets of challenges and sets of skills with them. But I think that this group, not disparaging any other group, but I think this group has been out there, they're a proven quantity, they know what they want. So if they're on an internship, it's because they want to be. They want to roll up their sleeves, they want to be involved. And that translates to a very strong work ethic.
Is it actually called an internship, just like the younger person's internship?
It's called an internship.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that really defines it best. There is a need, and we're trying to meet that need.
So how do you go about approaching a potential employer, and do they seem intrigued when you kind of run the idea by them?
So far, there's been a good deal of interest.
Yeah.
They are intrigued because I think a lot of businesses, they understand the value of it. They get it. They see why there's a need, and a lot of businesses, they're cautious. They want to make sure that they're making the right move. So for them, they want to, first of all, they want to help if they can. They want to help someone who, it's almost a form of community outreach. I'm not saying this right. It's a form of community outreach for them as well because they want to do good in the community.
Do you think they would even feel more comfortable doing this than maybe bringing in a younger person because they feel a boomer might be more seasoned and more mature? I know you don't want to disparage any other group or anything, but there are advantages to the boomer group.
No question there are advantages. I think some of that gets to the particulars of the business owner and what they're looking for, but I certainly think that there's a recognized appreciation of the value of this age group. And another thing that makes Boomer Den relevant is some people who are 45, 50, 50 plus, unfortunately, they are aware of a bias in the job market. And whereas they're not old by any standards, in a lot of places they feel like they're the old one in the group. And it's unfortunate because this is a group that's highly trained, they're vibrant, they're intelligent, and they still have a lot to give back. There's so much to give back.
Why wouldn't an employer want to, they feel biased, but wouldn't that be like the better choice? Again, depending on the business, but it would seem like that would be, a smart way to go. Wouldn't you agree?
It's hard to speak for the business owner, but I think that there are a lot of variables in what they look for too. And so I'm not sure what their formula is, but I think it would be to their advantage to.
So you introduced, this potential, job pool or employee pool to the employer. They kind of like the idea. They're intrigued by it. Now, how do you turn it around? And for those, that you may have been teaching in class or those looking, how do you approach them about it? Let them know.
For them, it's really letting them know that there's a new chapter too for them, that this is not the end of the road, that there are possibilities. And if you talk to almost anyone, there are dreams that they have. There are what ifs. There are, gee, I always thought about exploring this or that. And so it taps into a lot of those desires that they've had, and they realize, you know what, there's a possibility. There's a way to try this out.
Yeah, and you can kind of help make it happen.
And help make it happen. And it also, again, getting back to that test run, a lot of people are returning to school nowadays, but it's hugely costly.
Right.
Student loan debt is off the charts. And so depending on the field, it may or may not be necessary to go back for formal schooling. And this is another chance. Let me see what this field involves. Let me see what this employer is looking for.
Right.
Maybe mentoring and learning on the job is an option for me.
Right. Good opportunity to take a break, so we will. I want you to give out the website so people can learn more.
Okay. The website is www.boomerden.com.
All right. We'll take a break and come back. Frances Trelease, the president of Boomer Den. We've got a lot more to get to, so we will when we come back. I'm Sean Murphy. This is For the Record. Stay with us. Welcome back to For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. My guest today is Frances Trelease, president of Boomer Den. Right before the break, we had people go to the website. What's on the website? As we tape this, it's sort of a work in progress, but what's on there now and what will it become when all is said and done?
Well, there is a presence now. People can go on and see what Boomer Den is about. People can give me their information, what they're looking for, both on the business side and the internship side. There's a lot of information. There are a couple of video clips on the homepage that describe what the mission is of Boomer Den, why it's here, and the purpose that it's trying to serve. We are in the launch phase. We're gearing up to really grow in first quarter 2015, but there certainly is a lot of information there now for people.
Are you really at the point where you're on timetables that you want to make sure you hit for this? And
Somewhat.
That? Yeah.
Somewhat. We do have goals in mind.
It could be a little flexible when need be, right?
You always want to be a little bit fluid where you have to.
On the website, by the way, I'm sure are you plugged into social media too?
Yes.
That's where people are, so you kind of need to be there too, right?
Yes, we are. We have a Facebook presence, LinkedIn, and Twitter as well.
All right. The need for this, the need is growing. I mean, the timing may be right on this because there are more and more people that are in the situation where they need, something like this to know where to go next, right?
Absolutely. I mean, if you just look at demographics, the number of people in this age group, we're a huge bubble sort of moving through. And more and more people can relate to being ready to start something new. For whatever reason, one chapter's closed. Now they want to say, they're not done yet. They want to look for that new opportunity. This is their opportunity. This is their chance to do that.
And I know you touched on this a little bit in the first segment, but I want to kind of get into it a little deeper, and that is the vetting process. Now, depending on the type of employer, maybe it's a very small business. Maybe they don't necessarily have the resources or the time to really go through a vigorous vetting process because, as an employer, you want to be concerned about the type of individual that you're going to bring into your place, right?
Yes, yes. It is a time saver. It does a lot of that legwork for them. So when we bring a candidate to them, we've done a background check. We've looked at their education, their qualifications, references, so that we're matching two known quantities together. The intern knows something about the business knows something about the interns.
And it's a time saver for the employer, a money saver, and we were talking about this off the air a little bit. I'm sure they would appreciate your vetting process, but just to be a little bit more comfortable for themselves, they probably would, also want to do a little bit of a background check themselves, right?
Absolutely, and they're welcome to do that. We would never say to you,
Right. No, only go by ours.
yes,
right?
we do due diligence, but they can also do whatever makes them comfortable.
So a person, a boomer, that decides to participate in an internship, they've got the hands-on, so that's great. But let's say that maybe they don't want to pursue that. As they're building their resume, is this type of internship, is that a good thing to have on your resume? It's almost like the job, you are doing the job?
It's a very good question. People have different views on that perfect resume. In my view, I think it is very valuable. These internships play a very important role in resumes because one thing that employers look at, we are still in a stagnant economy. We do have people who are very qualified who, for whatever reason, have been out of work for a year, maybe a year and a half or more. And an employer will say to them, where have you been? I'm looking at your resume, explain this gap to me. So an internship can help on many levels. It shows the employer that they're learning, they're engaged, they're networking in that field, they're career-minded. So this has a lot of value to say to them, I'm not just sitting home, I'm out learning and exploring and staying current.
Now, you mentioned this earlier too, where we are, the Northeast,
Yeah.
Connecticut, Rhode Island, New York. Why is this area lagging behind as far as the ability to get jobs?
That's a very good question. Some people refer to the manufacturing sector as never having fully come back. We're also a very expensive part of the nation. We're one of the most highly taxed areas in the nation. I think in some ways it's almost a perfect storm that makes the New England region kind of tough for people.
All right, so we've maybe piqued some people's interest in Boomer Den. So what's the first thing they do? Maybe they've gone to the website, they want to get in touch with you. Maybe they have questions and they don't really know what the next step to take is.
They provide the information initially. There's an initial intake form, and they provide the information, and from there we step in and we contact them, and there's a lot of conversation going back and forth. And that's one of the beauties of Boomer Den is it's not a huge conglomerate. These are customized matches. So there are many conversations that take place on both the business side and the intern side to make sure that there are no surprises. We know what the intern's looking for, we know what the business is looking for, and we try to enable that perfect match.
So the first thing someone might ask is, how much would this cost them if they want to get involved?
Okay, for the intern there is no charge.
Okay.
This is a new
that's
business.
good news, huh?
Yes,
Yeah.
this is a new business. We're concerned with, first of all, we're concerned with helping people because there is a tremendous need. There's a lot of pain out there in the economy right now. And we're also new and we're building. There is no charge currently for the interns. For the business, there is a minimal fee to use this service. Still very, very affordable as compared to outright hiring at the outset.
How is it different? How is Boomer Den different than just going on like a job search site, the typical one?
Job search sites, well, first of all, to do that online.
Yeah.
Do you mean you can get overwhelmed, you can get lost? There's so
Kind of
much.
daunting, isn't it?
It's very daunting, and a lot of people get lost online.
Right.
So this is more of a customized personal process for them. And I think another thing is that a lot of the internships that are posted are for the younger set. Traditionally
Starting out.
in our country, we are more familiar with the new college grad going out there, the 22-year-old.
For the entry level position, right?
Entry level, someone who's new to the workforce. So the person who goes out and explores on their own may have some trouble finding these opportunities on their own. And some of what Boomer Den does is we're going to raise that awareness. Look, we've got a really talented pool of people out here, and we can help you work with them.
We've used the term employer a lot in just as a broad umbrella, and we talked about maybe the smaller business and the larger business, but get more specific about the potential careers that someone could maybe intern at, the types of places.
The good thing is there are really no limitations on that. It really comes down to the need from the business owner and the desire from the intern. So it could run the gamut from graphic design, horticulture, bakery, some of the more vocational fields to some of the more white-collar professions. So it really gets down to setting clear parameters. What does the business owner expect to receive from the intern, and what are the skills that the intern expects to learn on the job? And once you have that match and it's meeting the needs of both sides, it really doesn't limit itself to one very narrow field or career.
How, if you start at a central point, how far out, in geography-wise, is your outreach? I would imagine that you've contacted and worked out deals with employers that are in this general area.
Geographically, this is a Connecticut-based business, but we're going where the need is.
Right.
And in a growth phase, certainly, we do hope to expand beyond. So I would not tell someone who's beyond the boundaries of Connecticut.
If you're in Rhode Island and you're watching, maybe even just over the border and maybe advantageous, if this seems like something that could be what you might want to try.
Absolutely, and down towards Fairfield County as well.
Yeah.
What we're doing is we're out there to meet the needs on both sides, so we are going to do our best to accommodate.
Is it as simple as, once you've worked out an arrangement, an agreement with an employer, is it as simple as them discovering that they have a need and simply calling you up and saying, can you fill this opening that we have, basically?
In a sense, it is.
Yeah.
And then we take it from there. We find out we can't guarantee matches. What we're not going to do is send the wrong person, because that hurts everyone involved, including ourselves. So we'll take it from there and see. And if we have the right candidate and the right business, then we'll make it happen.
It kind of leads me into my next question about how, you were talking about maybe some people, boomers maybe going back to school because they want to pursue something else. But again, if you can plug a potential intern into this, maybe the schooling aspect of it might not be necessary or appropriate, and it may end up being beneficial or really more advantageous for both the employer and the intern if that is bypassed, right?
Correct. The notion of mentoring, apprenticeships, that's sort of gone by the wayside, but it has a lot of that element in there.
What's the difference between an apprenticeship and an internship?
Well, we don't usually use the term. Apprenticeship sort of has that old England
Old-fashioned,
feel.
yeah.
You learn a craft,
Right.
you learn leather working or something like that. But the beauty of that was that someone had a chance to learn under the tutelage of someone who's skilled. And so it does bring that element in, and there will be fields where, and maybe I shouldn't say this as a college instructor, but it's being debated right now, the value of a 4-year college degree when it comes to employability, that there are other tracks to the workforce. There are other ways to get in there and be employable and be valuable. And I think this is one of those other avenues.
We're going to take one more break and come right back, so don't go anywhere. I'm Sean Murphy. This is For the Record. Stay with us. Welcome back to For the Record. Any last thoughts or anything you want to get the word out about Boomer Den in case people are wondering?
I think the message is that there's a possibility to make this work for business owners as well as boomer adults, that there are a lot of possibilities out there. This can be a very exciting time for boomers, and we're here to help. We want to make a difference. We want to get the word out that this is an avenue for people, this is an avenue for employers, and we're here.
And, and again, I think it's worth mentioning again that if you are a potential employee looking to be involved with Boomer Den, it doesn't cost you anything, right?
There is absolutely no cost.
What's your goal? Do you just want to expand and get bigger, help more people? Maybe get, how are potential employers, are they responsive to what you've been?
So far, all of
Yeah.
the feedback that I've received has been very positive. It's sort of a new spin
Yeah.
on an old, not an old model, but a traditional model, and there's been a lot of enthusiasm for it so far.
One more time on the website so people can go and learn more.
www.boomerden.com.
A very simple website, right?
Yes.
All right, Francis Trelease, president of Boomer Den, and we didn't mention that your partner's off camera watching the show too.
Yes, he is.
All
Yes,
right.
he is.
What's his name?
Alan Kaiser.
All right. Well, thanks for being on the show. We learned a lot today.
Thank you, Sean, very much.
You can watch this show and many others on our YouTube sites. Until next time, I'm Sean Murphy. This is For the Record. Take care.